All right, everyone. Welcome to the March edition of the Kubernetes Public Steering Committee meeting. My name is Paris. I am going to figure this out for us today. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that for those that don't have the agenda in front of them, you can have it virtually in front of you. And as always, we do have a code of conduct. Please be excellent to each other. We have, looks like 12 participants now, so sort of a large group. Try to either use the hand raise feature or just try to call out and I will get to you. Also, there is an agenda if you're just joining us in chat. Let me copy and paste that. Please feel free to add your name as a community member. Also steering, add our names too. I don't know if I added mine. And let's hit it. So first up today is Zack. Zack has a CAP open and has some open questions and discussion for us. Zack, why don't you give us some context?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So this is in reference to the KEP for third-party and dual source documentation. The issue number is 1327 in Kubernetes/enhancements. I had a chat window 1 second ago. I need to exit this in full screen. All right, I put the link into Zoom chat. So this KEP has had 90 days for discussion, and that feels like a really good amount. It seems like we have achieved consensus with folks who had the strongest feedback about the specifics of language and policy. And so I think we're getting close to the end game for this KEP. And there are some questions that we have in order to be able to get this KEP implemented. The first question is, how do we get to implementable? That's not really clear from what I can see in the KEP template. Also, we have some TBDs in the KEP that we need to resolve. And I think some of these may be either like edge cases that are specific to docs or maybe more common. I'm not familiar with the larger landscape of KEPs, but our TBDs are specifically around approvers, reviewers, and editors. The KEP template specifies that approvers should be different from authors. How does that work for us? Same for reviewers and an editor. So basically, how do we get this KEP forward? What is it that we need to do? And in order to do that, we need advice from steering.
Oh, and steering, can someone help me take notes? I apologize. And then also weigh in on Zack.
So I apologize for my delay in responding here. I have not had the time to read this, so I'm kind of only glancing at it. But I feel like general guidance for KEPs is that you should be sourcing your approvers and reviewers from SIGs that are impacted. I suppose you could ostensibly say every SIG is impacted because they all have features, but it might be worthwhile to consider saying like SIG architecture. You need to find, I see some folks from SIG architecture have commented in this talk and asking them to be approvers for this KEP, because I feel like this kind of dovetails into how do we adequately document features, which I think is something that SIG architecture is concerned with. You know, since I have like a production readiness review sub-project, and since a lot of review of KEPs does come from SIG architecture, that's where I would source approvers from. Does that make sense?
It does, and to be clear, that is on us to go to SIG architecture and get people to volunteer from SIG architecture to be approvers.
Yes, that would be my suggestion.
Okay, thank you. And for reviewers and an editor?
I am not as familiar for editor, and I feel like there's nothing preventing the same people being listed as reviewers and approvers. I feel like, I mean, it's your call. If all 4 folks listed as authors have had authorship in the doc, that's one way to do it. You could also say that somebody from SIG Docs who's kind of been just editing it, or you intend to have them keep this kept up to date going forward, that would be the person I would choose.
Okay.
So this is me just kind of making something up off the top of my head, so I don't know if there's a better answer out there.
I haven't reviewed the KEP specifics either. I am just glancing at it as well, but yeah, everything that Aaron has said would be like in line with my understanding around the KEP process as well. If there's any ambiguity around like project-wide technical decisions, then SIG architecture should definitely be involved. Otherwise, like stuff around docs specifically and like policies around documentation and the website and that kind of stuff, at least my personal opinion is that we take the lead from what SIG Docs is recommending, because you folks are definitely the experts in that domain and have been running our docs and our website for a while now.
Aaron, one piece of feedback about approvers and reviewers. Unfortunately, the KEP template clearly specifies that reviewers have to be a different pool.
It does say they have to be a different pool?
Yes.
Okay.
That must be a change. There's not that many pools of people.
Well, I would go ping SIGArch. See who wants to be listed as an approver and or a reviewer. If you can't find anybody there, come ping me and I can sign up to be a reviewer. Because I appreciate you've had this out here for a while and want to make sure that we help you move forward expediently.
The timing lines up nicely within the next few weeks. One of the provisions of the KEP is that we give feature owners of current documentation that would have non-conforming content in it 90 days to migrate their content elsewhere or decide what to do with it. And lining that up with the end of a release cycle dovetails nicely with like 1.19.
Right.
All right. And Zach, do you feel like you have enough to go forward at this point? Or go somewhere?
Go somewhere, yes.
In the web of KEPs. Thank you for your patience. I'm sorry that it's taken so long for this.
Thanks for the input. I appreciate it.
Does anybody else have anything for Zach, either from steering or members of the community? All right. All right, and then the next item on the list is steering at KubeCon updates. So we have our panel, and we've heard from a few of us that are no longer going. So I wanted to see, is this panel still viable for us? What should we do? I gave us 10 minutes to discuss in case we decided to scope creep into KubeCon. Who wants to go first? Or do we want to do a quick poll now, an updated poll of who's going?
Let's start there.
Yeah, let's start there.
Uh,
All right, I am no longer going.
I am no longer going.
Tim?
I'm not. I was never going to go, actually.
Okay. And then Christoph?
I am still a maybe at this point.
Okay. And then Nikita is?
Not going as well.
Sad face? Yeah, I am as well.
So I know Derek was not planning to go either. He was never planning to go. I don't know if Dims has made a decision. Last I heard on last I heard it was a maybe, but I don't know if that has changed to either like a firm yes or a firm no as of today. But right now, if a panel, at the best case scenario, if a panel is Dims and me, there is significantly less value to that than there would have been if we had like 5 of the 7 steering members in Amsterdam, which is what the plan was as of a few weeks ago.
I mean, you could do like an AMA.
Dims is not going.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Christoph, you're doing a talk.
If it's just me, then I'm going to make the decision and say that is definitely not valuable. If you want to talk to me, ping me in Slack. I'm very open about my thoughts and opinions and having conversations. Ping me in Slack if you want my opinion on something, or ask it here is another good option. But as far as Amsterdam, I think we can safely say like we should cancel that session.
All right. So I'll reach out after the meeting, possibly while we're on it. Does anybody else have anything about KubeCon that they wanted to get out of their system now? We still have a few minutes left. All right.
Would this be a moment for someone not of steering to say something?
Can you do it in 5 minutes?
Absolutely.
Of course, yes, of course, yes. That was a joke. Yes. Please, Jeff, take it away.
Long story short, I'm the Contributor Summit lead. Hey, y'all. Oh, wait, my camera's not on. Hey, y'all. We just had our summit staff planning, and one of the things that was discussed is outright canceling the summit and making it a virtual event. That was my proposal. We got a pretty good amount of support, and so the event sub-project leads are going to be getting a lovely GitHub issue assigned to them, stating as such with my proposal. This is not something that I do lightly, but I had to merge my personal and professional opinions, and now I'm not going to Amsterdam either. So just want that out there.
Thank you, because I was kind of wondering what was going to go on with the Contributor Summit.
Do you want to grab a link to your proposal?
Yeah, I'll grab a link to my proposal. I will paste it in here for all of your lovely eyes, but explicitly it should go to the event sub-project leads. And this is kind of a weird gray area because this hasn't really been done before. So that's that. I do want to say thanks to my staff for both being incredibly open about their feelings, as well as honestly pushing back where they need to push back. So I am happy to take questions about the ideas, but nothing has been decided. It is just a proposal, but it is something that I figured I should hop on and mention.
Thanks, Jeff. Does anybody else from steering have anything else on this topic? Or questions for Jeff?
Is there a deadline by which you're going to be making a final decision on this?
That is, honestly, again, this is gray area. This is not my call, I think. What I'm going to be doing right after this is creating an issue and assigning it to the event sub-project owners, and they're the ones that have to decide. I made my decision already, which is why we've made the I made the proposal. But I would just assume it's going to be within 72 hours because that's how things work around here.
Okay.
All right. And then next on the agenda is something that I clearly have not linked. So let me get to the links. Where's my, here we go. We talked about this during the last meeting. It's right now sitting with Tim and myself and Derek. I put together some questions worth exploring for working groups and SIGs. For context, for folks that have not heard about this yet, this is, I'm proposing, and quite a few other folks on the line are in agreement / co-proposing, so not necessarily on me here. A community health check of sorts for our SIGs and community groups, like other committees and or working groups, things like that, for various reasons, similar to an Apache roll call that their PMCs have. This just helps us check in on chairs, how they're doing. Also lets chairs have a communication channel into us and really kind of just open up some more communication channels and seeing how we as steering can help them or vice versa, et cetera, just kind of like what Zack did with, hey, how do I do this? But in a more unified fashion. I wanted to take some time because we do move slow and see if we can make any more progress on this as far as either next steps or any other thoughts, especially with you, Tim, too, because I know, Tim, you took a interest in this.
I'm sorry for being languishing on this issue. It probably got filtered into my usually unless I'm added, like directly added, GitHub notifications go to /dev null. So I can take a look at this and follow up by the end of the day today.
Okay. I think that I feel like our next steps would be just to put together a quick doc of goals and types of things, and then the mechanism, meaning we go to them or they come to us. And then we sort of have a level 1 program. I don't think there's too many steps that we need to do to kick things off the ground. I have also mentioned this to the chairs and tech leads themselves. Many chairs and tech leads have mentioned that they welcome this. Others are just more concerned about, is this adding another meeting to my already existing calendar, which my very quick response was no, that was not the intention. We already have a meeting here, a public meeting here, or B, they already have their meetings. We can figure out which avenue to slot this into without creating additional work. But I have not received much feedback outside of that. So I feel like we are ready to go-ish, if you will. All right, so let me also get out the, not projects, I didn't mean to put on, oh, the Zoom bar's in my way. That Zoom bar, what was that? Here we go. Wanted to go back to our issue board and make sure that we are doing what we say we're doing here. We've got some super old stuff. So that really kind of concludes, I believe, unless somebody added, hold on one sec, let me make sure. Yep. Does anybody else, because that sort of concludes our agenda meeting today before I hit the backlog. Does anybody else, either from the community or from steering, have very specific items that they wanted to address before we hit this backlog? I see Aaron with a no, or I will take silence as a no. All right. And community members who are not interested in our backlog, this is, I don't know, this is where all the good stuff happens, in my opinion. If you're not interested, feel free to drop. Otherwise, let's go through the backlog. All right, so what in the Hades is EOL Kubernetes incubate? Oh, that's end of life. Okay, sorry. What do we have left here?
So the GitHub administration subproject, GitHub management subproject met, and we're very close to having migrated or retired all repos out of that org, at which point we can decommission the org. The outstanding repos, there are 2 related to SIG auto scaling that I believe are going to be in flight shortly. There's one, there may be an issue that has a bunch of comment that has a bunch of checkboxes here that shows the status. There's an external storage repo that's in flight for SIG storage. And then the only real straggler is a repo called kubeAWS, which is currently listed as a SIG cluster lifecycle subproject. And it's unclear whether or not SIG cluster lifecycle actually wants to continue to own this as a subproject. Repos that live in the Kubernetes SIGs org need to be owned by a SIG. So if SIG cluster lifecycle doesn't want to own it, perhaps SIG cloud provider would like to own it. The other alternatives are call the repo retired and move it to Kubernetes retired and archive it and move it into read-only mode. But it does seem like there may be some folks who are contributing to that. And so another alternative is to find one of those folks who wishes to host it and continue maintaining it on their own. Though at that point, we likely would stop supporting it with the Kubernetes project infrastructure, like with Prow and all the bots and stuff.
Given the plethora of other AWS projects, there's nothing that really differentiates this subproject. So adding it would just be like adding another. And we kind of were leaning against it, in part because it didn't look like it was very active. Now, if it was gangbusters, I would expect that we would want to help shepherd it into the fold. But it looked like it was on kind of limping mode by a couple of key maintainers. So from my perspective, we've kind of think that if a person really wants it, they can take it out of the Kubernetes org, and we can, they can be the maintainer, because they're pretty much the only 1 or 2 maintainers that are actually actively working on it.
So anyway,
All right.
that's where we are on that issue, and we hope to have that resolved within the next couple of months.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Way to go, team. Getting stuff done. Yes. Yes. All right. This was another, I think, big one, governance evolution. Identify who's responsible for evolving the governance going forward, how changes will be approved. And then Nikita commented, looks like this can be closed. We have changes.md now. Do we have a final call on this?
I believe we actually originally closed it, then it was reopened. I think I was a +1 to closing.
I'm a +1 to closing as well.
Same.
Are we allowed to make decisions on this call right now, by the way?
Yes, we have 5 people.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm just making sure. All right, I'm closing. Does anybody disagree before I close? 1, 2, 3, closing. All right. Oh my God, I have like 45 tabs. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on one sec. All right. And then discussion topics, meta issue. Do we need user groups? We talked about this last time. Do we need insurance? Do we need a policy similar to Apache's release policy? Do we need a conflict of interest policy? Meta. No comments on this issue. Do we keep this open as a discussion topic?
I think it's worthwhile to keep it open. I don't know if anyone wants or has capacity to work on it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I
stuff
feel like
this-
we are sort of kind of working on this right now. Not necessarily do we need it. It's just kind of like, we know we do. So, all right, I'll just go ahead and leave it open. Documentation requirements, determine how documentation or policies enforced with SIG docs, integrate enforcement to the release process. It's kind of what we sort of talked about a little bit, not really. Wonder what's open. What's left open here.
We have no enforcement at all. Like policy is only as good as the enforcement mechanism that you have.
Yeah, it looks like. I agree. Any other steering members with an opinion here? Aaron, I see that you no longer have an opinion officially.
I mean, I kind of feel like, I don't know that this has concretely been addressed, but I feel like through the evolution of KEPs, and I think the KEP that Zack just submitted kind of describes how SIGDocs has enforcement for a particular kind of content policy, as well as SIG architecture's review of KEPs. I think we have the necessary, I think SIGDocs is like, has the necessary enforcement policies they need. I feel like we can close this and suggest that if there is a conflict where somebody believes SIGDocs is telling them to do something and they don't have the authority to do so, we are happy to take that discussion up in steering.
Anybody else disagree with us? Going once, twice. Closing. All right. And then clarify and improve how we identify and close staffing gaps across the project. This is, I think, another meta discussion issue, something we've been chiseling off kind of, or attempting to chisel off. Yeah, like Brian identified number one, we tried the role board. Any comments on this? We can also take this to the chair's leads meeting next month as well. Ask them directly what they think that we can do or what they need as far as closing staffing gaps directly. Any other opinions on this? I guess I'll keep this open because I know it is an ongoing topic. Just wondering how we can move the needle here. I'm gonna take a note to take this to, hold on. All right. Does anybody think we should close that issue? All right. Oh yeah, my favorite topic, Slack. This is a Contribex question at this point. Does Contribex feel like Slack, they still want to continue owning Slack, its policies, etc.?
I feel like I'd like to hear from Nikita and Christoph as the
Yep.
two people who most recently removed the stale label on this.
Yep.
I think I don't have any opinions that I'd like to present right now. I don't know about Christoph, but I think this is like a very long, winded discussion that we should take to a Contribex meeting instead, because there are lots of folks who have shared opinions on this, and I think they should be on the call. Also, there was like a doc written and everything, so I think we should have those doc authors to discuss this.
All right, so would it be fair to say next Contribex meeting, we'll take this up to Contribex, see if this is still an issue, and if it is, then we'll bring it back here next meeting?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let me actually write what I just said. Take this to the next, if it's still a concern, open-ended. What's next month? April? Sorry. All right. Thanks, y'all. And then calendar for prompting us for different processes. I did end up making one. We have it, yep, and Nikita commented we have a shared calendar. Do you still want to keep this open, Nikita? You said that you wanted to keep it open for adding calendar events for different processes.
I think we can keep it open, and you can assign it to me to add whatever events need to be added, and I'll sync with the events team for this one.
The marketing team is also in the middle of making the calendar more robust. So I don't know if you just want to delegate the work to them here. That's Jonas and a couple other people on the marketing team in Contribex.
I'll sync with them, like I can work with them on this.
Okay, cool. All right. All right, and then we have the ancient travel process support for Kubernetes contributors. The last thing here, oh, and I see a chat too, is from Michelle. Christoph has to drop. All right, bye, Christoph. What are we doing with this one?
There's also a PR open for this that has more comments, but I think we're waiting on CNCF to come back with the proposal, if I remember correctly.
Is Eeyore on the line? Hold on, let me look at the participants. Sorry. No, he's not. All right. Last thing, 22 days ago, Diversity Scholarship Review Committee has been comprised of KubeCon co-chairs, program committee members, and other individuals that have been referred to us by co-chairs, program committee. Most people sign up for the full year. I'm confused. What are we talking about here? How are we talking about Diversity Scholarship Review Committee in relation to contributors? All right, so we need to follow up with this one. Does anybody want to take an action on this? Just because I feel like it's been me and Dims that have been like tugging chains. Nikita, you
I
too.
can help with this.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. You sure? Sure.
Yep. Sure.
Oh, cool. And I did want to talk about this one. This one I think can get closed out. This was Contributor Summit Budget Transparency, which now I do believe we have. Did do an update on the issue itself about what we have now, who owns it, and why. Christoph pretty much said +1 as well. So I wanted to get, and yeah, this is cool. Christoph was the one that had to leave too. But is there anybody from steering that does not believe that this issue is closed and that we have or do not have transparency as far as Contributor Summit budget? So everybody's in favor to close.
Yeah. As long as the events team feels like they have the transparency they need, then I'm happy.
Yep. And hold on one sec, let me check chat. Cool. Right.
So here, Bob, since you said you can take questions, I'll just ask, do you have the numbers for previous contributor summits, and are the costs broken down to a level where you know where that money is going?
Yep, and they link to each invoice and things like that in there. They have a shared Google Drive with all that.
Okay.
I think they've had breakdowns since Seattle, but essentially each event gets a spreadsheet, and then everything is linked in that specific spreadsheet.
All right.
We should probably write this down somewhere. I don't know if that should be, Bob, I don't know if we should take a note from that from Contribex, meaning like go to steering with escalations as we could probably put it on the events lead rule book.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so that's a sidebar. Thank you. And then this says, I should be resolving all comments on the agenda at the end of public meetings. Yes, that's correct. Tim, I remember, or I don't, or I'm like making something up. I thought that you had at one point created a like how to steering committee this meeting.
How to bosun.
Yes. I started one last night, and then like halfway through it stopped because I was like, wait, I think Tim might have done something like this. If you haven't, I have half of one.
It's funny because like I did say I was going to write it up, and I did write it up, and I don't have any idea what I did with it.
All right. Well, why don't we?
If you have a doc, if you want to share, I can take a look and try and hunt where I put my doc.
Yeah.
I did keep notes around this.
Okay, cool. You know, mine was, and all I did was just take what we do for like the community meeting, and like it was like and I like Mad Libs it pretty much. But so yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll take that offline. But I think, and I'm pretty sure in the host instructions I have that they need to clear the comments. So are we okay with closing this?
I'm okay with closing it.
Okay. All right. We are cleaning stuff up, y'all. All right. Term limits on steering. Question if we should outline both consecutive and lifetime term limits. I think we can discuss this now. We definitely can't, I don't think we can vote on anything without Christoph, since he hasn't weighed in on the issue yet. Anybody have discussion topics on this? So I want to see who liked. Looks like Derek was in consensus with Brendan's take. So was Dim's. So was Tim. So that's 3 steering members seem to be in agreement with a 10 years lifetime limit. But so if there was a proposal right now, like Nikita or Aaron, and the proposal was a blanket lifetime 10 years, would you +1 or -1 or 0?
I have no real objections to the lifetime thing, but I don't think what's discussed is whether we want a consecutive term limit. I don't know if Brendan's comment implies that we don't care about consecutive term limits, or whether he's saying we'll put that off to the side and we only care about lifetime term limit.
Tim, how did you interpret that?
I didn't. It was a topic that we wanted to record. I recorded it while I was hosting this meeting. I didn't have strong opinions. It was just a topic that was brought up. I'm not a big fan of separating out a separate consecutive term limit from a lifetime term limit. I think lifetime term is sufficient in my opinion, but I do think that other folks should weigh in.
And then Nikita, what about you? If like what Brendan was proposing was the proposal, would you +1, -1, 0 need more info today?
So I don't really have objections on the lifetime term limit of 10 years, but I think we should think about having a consecutive term limit, though I don't have too strong opinions right now. I just feel like that could help improve the diversity in general on the steering committee. But I need to think more on this.
All right. I mean, just for iteration purposes, I would probably +1 this. I feel like this is something to get us off the ground. And I think it's broad enough that it would catch edge cases. That's my take. So in order to move this forward, what are folks' opinions? So should we, like, next meeting, all come prepared with our takes on if we think we should have consecutive and/or lifetime, number 1, and then possibly what those look like? Is that fair?
Yeah, but somebody should really PR the repo with the language, because any policy changes require somebody to take point on the actual. Not it.
I'm okay. I mean, I'm okay with it as long as I have the time. Time is of the essence. Someone, I'm saying someone, and just to be.
You can assign it to me.
Generic. All right, someone. Clearing the policies so we can see. How does he put it, Phillips? All right. So we have like 8 minutes left here. There you are. Cool. And then unconscious bias training. I think we need to just PR this in somewhere too. Wait, did we already? Yeah, we did. Hold on. All right. Members of the committee must take it. Yep. So are we just keeping this open as like a rolling like onboarding thing?
But 3 of us still assigned to the issue have not confirmed that we've taken it. I will do so and unassign myself. And when there are no more assignees on this issue, it can be closed.
Okay. All right. So Aaron, I take it you have not taken it. I'm not trying to shame you. That's what I'm taking. Okay.
I have to double check. I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay.
Check.
All right.
I'm pretty sure I did too, but I don't
Yeah,
recall like any
anyway.
follow-up from it. So it's like funny. So I don't even remember if like I got an email confirmation. I have so much spam.
I don't remember getting one myself. I did take it. I don't remember getting a confirmation that I took it. I think the confirmation was when you clicked the button at the end and then the web page pulled up that said you've confirmed, like print this as your certificate or something.
For what it's worth, like VMware actually forces us to go through several rounds of this internally. It's different layers. I don't know if, and I actually have certificates for that.
You print yours. So. All right, so I'm not going to do anything with this then. If y'all could unassign yourself and do the needful, that would be wonderful. And then, but as far as like future, and I'm trying to think of future, like this year, for instance, when we have new folks come on board, is that what we should do every time? Like we should just open up these like onboarding kind of issues? What should we do as far as process is concerned for that? What did we decide on? I think Nikita, you also, I think you may have either PR'd some of that stuff in already.
We do have a doc which outlines onboarding steps that need to be done. I don't think we have concrete terms on if we should open an issue for it, but I think we could just open one issue just for onboarding, like an onboarding checklist kind of a thing when you folks join.
All right. And then
the onboarding checklist.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna look at it one more time. Hold on. I'm taking a. All right. This is a doozy for only having 5 minutes left. Tim, do you want to discuss this or punt?
I'm reading. Oh, this is a lot of ongoing work. I think Dim should be here because he's been taking point more than I have.
Let's
I know I did several PRs a while ago, but other folks have been PRing it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, we only have a couple minutes left, so I want to give it justice. What about this one? This one's Prune Shuffle Projects under the Kubernetes org.
This is kind of similar to the other one, but we haven't, with regards to the, was it incubator repo? We have a bunch of projects that were still in the Kubernetes org that were in a similar state as the incubator org. I don't think anyone took point on this one.
Who's on point on this one?
I don't know who is, but I think like the GitHub management subproject can help with this, or should help with this.
I kind of feel like this is something that SIG architecture needs to own, since they kind of are the deciders of whether or not a repo gets created inside of Kubernetes. I feel like, yeah, it should be
Yeah, I think
something.
I think GitHub management project members can like help shepherd this and make sure that SIGARC takes the decisions. Basically what we've been doing for Incubator. SIGs decide whether Repos should stay or not, but GitHub management helps get that in.
Right.
Just for a quick pulse, we have 69 repositories in the K8's org. And I can already tell almost immediately that a bunch of them shouldn't be there. According to like how we define the organizational structure like a while ago. A part of us creating that original organizational structure was just so that we could find a happy landing zone. So we didn't, projects didn't want to just all come to the K8's org. But I don't think, we've never done the curation.
So what do you think, how we should move forward with this? Should we go, someone talk to SIGARC, or I guess GitHub management team take this to SIGARC?
I do think one of us needs to force this. Otherwise, I don't think it's on their roadmap or important enough for them to address. So I do think a steering committee member should be on point to help drive this forwards. Somebody who interfaces more often. I think Dims is a good person, maybe. I'm volunteering, but he's not here. As someone who goes to both SIGARC and has been working on pruning things. I don't know if anyone else is interested in this. I can assist, but I can't take lead.
I guess I can assist on this.
I can help too.
All right, well, we got a team here. Team on assist, Aaron, Tim, and Nikita. All right, so can I assign you three then to this, since you'll be the sweepers? All right. Awesome. Oops. Where are you? There you are. Yay. And then we have literally 1 minute. I don't think we're getting anything. Oh, steering committee election retro. One thing, yeah, let's just, one question. Do we need one? Do we need a steering committee election retro from either 2019, or do we need any other election conversations, anything like that? +1, -1, 0.
I no longer really have the context to perform a retro here.
And Bob said,
I've leaved out to the election officers.
Bob, do you want to say what you said in chat on recording?
For the most part, I'll actually defer to George. A lot of this we did sort of hold our own little retro. It was captured in a retro doc. And I think all the items have been completed on that, except for possibly one, and that was adding a release style checklist. But overall, I think it's like the AIs for it have been done.
Yeah, and we're like 2 months away from starting the next cycle. So like,
yep,
physically having one isn't, yeah, close it, in my opinion.
It would be cool if one of you could go through the points that Nikita listed there, and I guess just verify or not verify that it's a thing, it's in flight, it happened, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I can do that today.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
And then we'll go ahead and ask the other steering committee members that were not on the line today if they're good with this, and then we'll potentially close it out. Cool. And that's it for the meeting today. Yay. Really, really excited bunch, y'all. Thanks for being excited with me today.
Hooray.
Thanks. All right. Kill the recording, Bob.
Thank you for a